Government corruption has never been more prevalent or caused more harm. It's why extremism is on the rise. It's why the financial gap between the haves and have-nots has never been wider. And it's why our planet is at risk of an extinction level tragedy. That's why I need your help to keep exposing the truth about the rot on both sides of the aisle. Become a supporter or a friend of the show today by clicking on the coffee link in the description box below. Friends of the show join me on a Zoom hangout once a month, and you guys can ask me any questions you want, and I can get to know you better. But the most important reason to help is to keep the show alive. Together, we can and will save our country and our planet. Thanks in advance and enjoy the show. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the show. I have an update to share about one of Trump's Capitol insurrectionists. It's time for an episode of Where Are They Now?
Matthew Bledsoe was arrested. Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
So 40-year-old Maryland resident Joshua Pruitt was a somewhat new member of the Proud Boys when he took part in the Capitol attack. However, he was a big part of an encrypted messaging channel in the group where he and others were discussing plans for January 6th. They shared conspiracy theories, made racist and anti-Semitic remarks, and they talked about weapons. They talked about committing violent acts against members of the police, members of Congress. And this was all supposed to happen on January 6th. They specifically talked about that date. Pruitt made numerous comments in the group. He said things like, quote, "I'm ready to fuck shit up, LOL." Quote, "Bought a damn MMA mouth guard, got my wrist straps and a glove so I don't break my fucking hands on one of these pussies." And quote, "Hope I get to see him on the 6th. He will continue his life eating out of a fucking tube." So on December 28th, even before the Capitol attack, Pruitt was arrested for violating a restraining order that was taken out by his ex-girlfriend. She alleges that Pruitt harassed her, threatened her, verbally abused her. So he was released for that infraction, but then he had to wear an ankle monitor until his trial. And following the January 4th arrest of then Proud Bigot leader Enrique Tarrio, Pruitt said, quote, "Now I'm in fucking battle mode. That Enrique shit, nah, fuck you, die slow." Pruitt also posted numerous threats on social media. In one video he posted on Parler, Pruitt said, quote, "Antifa, DC Mayor Jackoff, bring it, motherfuckers. Y'all motherfuckers just started a war. You want to arrest Enrique? Okay, we got you. You got to arrest fucking all of us because I'm going fucking balls to the wall. I'm ready. I'm fucking ready." Then on January 6th, Pruitt posted a photo of himself. He was holding a rifle while he was standing on a stolen Black Lives Matter banner. And officers say that they remember Pruitt on the 6th of January because he kept walking around them in a threatening manner. And when they were asking him to move, he basically said, "Make me." So this was outside of the Capitol. They also said that he made a really big show of putting on his tactical glove, which they said clearly had knuckle pads. Then later, Pruitt climbed a bike rack. This was to reach the upper terrace of the Capitol. That's where he actually entered through a Capitol door that others had breached. Then after he entered, he found a wooden sign and he lifted it over his head and then he hurled it across the room. No reason, just did it. Later, he was seen on video in the Capitol crypt, and the police say that he was kind of bouncing back and forth really dramatically and that he was pointing at officers, he was taunting officers, and they said that they remember him looking, quote, amped up and in a, quote, fighting stance. And they said that his presence and his behavior emboldened the mob behind him because he made his way to the front of that mob so he could confront the officers. Later, in another area of the Capitol, Pruitt was seen on surveillance video throwing a chair in the direction of some other officers. And then sometime after that, Pruitt almost came into contact with Senator Chuck Schumer. And then after that near encounter, Pruitt joined another group that was squaring off against police, and officers say that Pruitt taunted them. He challenged one of them to a fight. And then he threatened one officer. He said, quote, "You better stop eyeballing me." So after leaving the building, Pruitt texted a friend and he wrote, quote, Yeah, I got sprayed. My hand is swollen. Cop came at me for no reason, so I dropped his ass. This was a female he was communicating with, by the way. And yeah, that didn't happen. But Pruitt was arrested that night. He was arrested on January 6th for a curfew violation. And he told the cops, quote, "I have an ankle bracelet. I might be in trouble for this shit." Once in custody, he started to kind of tap dance, though. He told the detectives, quote, "The cops were happy with me because I was trying to stop people from the dumb shit they were doing. I'm all for the cause of Trump, but at the end of the day, I wasn't there for the violence. The point of us being out there is for Trump and back the blue." He said that with a straight face, I'm assuming. So after his release, Pruitt went right back to making threats. He was doing this online mostly, and he started sending videos to certain people showing him holding an AR-15. And then Pruitt also was denying any wrongdoing. In one post, he wrote, quote, "Do I regret January 6th? Not even a little. Patriots rise." And in an interview with CNN, Pruitt said, quote, "We didn't storm any Capitol, okay? We did protest. We peacefully protest." And when asked if he felt any responsibility for that day, he replied, quote, "I do not, absolutely not. I don't feel I did anything wrong." So the journalist then asked him, "What did you actually do?" And Pruitt said, quote, "Walk in through a front door being held open by cops that waved me in." Investigators reviewed the video and photos of Pruitt entering the Capitol, and there is no evidence of that. There are no officers visible anywhere. In another interview, Pruitt said, quote, "Trying to send me to prison for a few years over this, I think, is a complete joke." And you won't be surprised to hear that Pruitt has a very extensive criminal history that includes 19 previous arrests and 8 convictions. So Pruitt was indicted on charges of civil disorder, obstructing an official proceeding, destruction of government property, entering a restricted building, 2 counts of disorderly conduct, and physical violence in the Capitol. In June of this year, Pruitt pleaded guilty to the felony charge of obstructing an official proceeding. So he was facing up to 20 years in prison, 3 years of probation, and $250,000 in fines. However, the prosecutor requested only 5 years in prison, 3 years of probation, $2,000 in restitution, and a $100 special assessment. And Pruitt's attorney asked for only 36 months, either behind bars or home confinement. And at Pruitt's sentencing hearing, he backpedaled again. He said that he was, quote, "not happy that January 6th happened at all." And then he also told the judge, quote, "I broke the law, bottom line, regardless of whether I'm right or wrong on my feelings." And then he also said, quote, "I did believe the election was stolen. I still do." Pruitt also told the judge that in regard to throwing a sign in the Capitol, it was, quote, "in bad taste." Personally, I'm just excited to see Pruitt embracing socialism. I really am, because he used a court-appointed attorney. But yeah, socialism, bad. Anyway, Pruitt's attorney made it clear that he tried to get Pruitt to see the truth about the election, but to no avail. He said that, even if he's unwilling to admit it, Pruitt has a problem with alcohol. In fact, the prosecutor told the judge that Pruitt refused to participate in a court-ordered alcohol abuse program. I didn't know that was an option, to just not participate. So U.S. District Judge Timothy Kelly presided over Pruitt's case, and he said that he found Pruitt's lack of remorse, quote, "extremely troubling," and, quote, "there was nothing patriotic about what happened that day. Far from it. It was a national disgrace." And keep in mind, this Judge Kelly was appointed by Trump, by the way. Judge Kelly also noted, quote, "What you planned to do that day and what you did do was intimidate and at least threaten violence as part of this mob." Now, the judge also took issue with Pruitt's attorney for downplaying his criminal history and his past. And he said, quote, "Goodness gracious, you have a problem that needs to be addressed." That is the understatement of the year. In the end, Judge Kelly gave the government almost everything that they requested. Pruitt was sentenced to 55 months in prison, so a little under the 5 years, 3 years of probation, and $2,000 in restitution. And following the sentencing, Pruitt's attorney actually talked with journalists, and he told them that Pruitt's Proud Boy contacts, quote, should be very concerned, very, very concerned. And this was in regard, he meant, to prosecution, and because of the amount of pre-planning that was taking place in this encrypted chat that they all took part in. Personally, I think the judge was far too lenient, given this guy's extensive record, his arrest record, his penchant for violence. I mean, come on. It should have been at least what the prosecutors were requesting. What's interesting, though, is that Judge Kelly is also presiding over the Proud Boys seditious conspiracy case. And some of the defendants in that case are charged with assaulting officers, which Pruitt obviously was not. But at Pruitt's sentencing hearing, Judge Kelly made a point of saying that if Pruitt had been charged with assault, he would have received a much longer sentence. So I don't know if that was a signal to these people or what, but the writing seems to be on the wall. If they're convicted on all counts, that they're going to do more time than Pruitt. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching and listening. Take care, and I'll talk with you soon.